Brilliant. Okay, hello and welcome everybody. This is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and you are absolutely here in the right place at the right time, because this is mastering the one command process. Hey, I am going to come out and be transparent here for a second. Let me explain something that's happened. I had the meeting set up for 7. I advertised it everywhere, and for some reason I had it on my phone and my personal calendar at 7:30. And I was telling the group that was here earlier, like, I was just like getting ready to be here. But the recording's on, and everybody who registered is going to absolutely get the recording. So thanks to everybody who hung out with me. I always say I'm excited about the presentations. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, because our one command, the TOC Master Your Money Mindset group is growing. I have a new daily broadcast called the Daily One Command, and I realize I'm talking a lot about the one command. I'm sharing the techniques. I give out a little action guide to support the book, but a lot of people are just kind of jump in and go along with me. And I wanted to take time tonight to kind of go through some of the core principles. Now, we are getting started a little later. I was planning on going from, I believe, 7 to 8:30. So we're going to go in 7:30 to, 7:30 to 9. But if you have a hard stop, don't worry. Do be sure and put in any questions or anything, because I'm going to be having an open forum, and I want to make sure that I get your question answered in the broadcast that we're doing today. Okay, so let's go for it. And all we need to do, there we go. So welcome, I'm Catherine Perry, and I'm your host, and I'm going to be telling a little bit more about myself, but really tonight is about the one command. And I want to tell more of the story of the origin of the one command, not because origin stories aren't awesome, they are, but what's contained inside the story is the core teaching and principles of the one command. So tonight you're going to be learning some background. You're going to be learning what some of the main principles of the one command is. There's some teaching around the DNA, but really we are limited on time. And what I'm most interested in making sure that you understand is why we go through those 6 steps. What are they? Why are we talking so much about the theta brainwave? How do you know you're in theta? And how do you format this magical one command? Is there a wrong way to do it, or is there only one right way? And the answer is going to surprise you. So we're going to talk about that. Then I want to show you how to format your command and how to think about your one command and how to walk yourself up through the 6 steps of the one command, because there are some specific steps. So we're going to be talking about what they are, why they are, and how you can really deepening your understanding about it, but more importantly, how you can increase your effectiveness when using this process. Okay, so that's some of the ideas. And then we are going to make sure that we have a time that we together go up and we're going to be forming a command, and I'm going to be helping you format your own personal one command. Okay, so let's go for it. Now, if you have not yet received your action guide, let me know, but it was part of what was downloaded, like the same page where you accessed this is the exact same page that you used to get your action guide and any handouts that we're using tonight. And so if you need to get your action guide or your worksheets, please be sure and let me know, and I will post the link here. And where you accessed this original call, like where you registered for this call, save that page, because that is where I'm going to be posting the replay. Okay, so I've just put the link in the chat bar. Pardon me, I'm going to take a little sip of water. I put the link in the chat bar. What you'll find there is we have the action guide, and then I've got some separate handouts that are some useful tools that have been added since creating the action guide. Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking a little bit about manifesting, because this is the main thing that people want to use the one command for. When the one command first came out, it was described as the secret on steroids. We didn't tell you what to do. We showed you exactly how to do it, how you had everything set up, and how you can instantly change it. Now, we have this idea about change being a long process and that it can take a lot of years because we have so much to work through and we have all these layers of onion that we're going down. But actually what's happening is as our consciousness starts to rise up and we start having our vibration starts rising up, we are actually working through and clearing old patterns and programs, but we're having greater awareness of what's been running the show for a really long time. And so what'll happen is a lot of people get hung up on, I got to manifest what I did manifest, what's stopping me from manifesting. But I want you to think about something. Is there anything in your life right now that you haven't manifested or that you haven't created? There's never a moment you're not manifesting or not creating. Now, if you're in a pattern where it feels like, or your sense of what you're experiencing is something outside of you and you have no control over it. Now, there's some things like the weather, right? I mean, I do remember as a young woman, someone saying, look, you can control the wind. And he took me to White Rock Lake and I stood on a bluff and he said, command the wind. And I said, blow wind, and the wind blowed. My sister still remembers when I took her to the lake and I said, look, I'm going to show you what I can do. Watch, tell the wind be still. The wind was still. Tell the wind to blow wind. And we just left, and we went and had margaritas afterwards and we felt like we were on the top of the world. But for some reason, that didn't always work. Somehow I didn't understand that I was tuning into the invisible forces and I was already picking up the signal that the wind was about to blow and it was time for stillness. It was happening. The understanding was happening below my awareness. Okay, now I see y'all laughing because I know that who else, when they first found out about manifesting and that we're creating our reality, was I the only one where we go, pink sky, pink sky, pink sky. I want this to happen. I was really wanting to test all those limits. But we have what's called an agreed upon reality. And if we have this sense that there's this force outside of us that is always affecting us, and then we're powerless, and we find that we're kind of in this Groundhog Day, that we're in this repeating pattern and somehow it's all out of our control and we can kind of wind up feeling like a victim of circumstances. That's a victim mentality, and that's based on your family system. You may have been raised by a narcissist. There could be a family system, like I found out, have really gotten clear on the victim mentality that runs in my family, big time. And what that is, just very briefly, it's called the victim triangle. And at one end, at one part of the triangle, and it's actually an upside down triangle, so the point's at the bottom. I talk about this in mastering the 3 forces you must master to manifest your desires. But at the center of it is the victim. And the victim feels like they're at the effect of everything. Then we have the rescuer, who's always going and helping the victim. One way or another, there seems to be a designated person in the friend group, in the family, at the job, wherever, that everything seems to fall on them. Like no matter what's going on with you, you have to be ready and available to go help everybody else on a minute's, like instantly. Like it doesn't matter what's happening. That's the rescuer. And then we have the persecutor. Now, that's whoever's causing the problems. Now, the thing is, at each of these points, I just want to explain this briefly. At each of these points, each one will feel like the victim. The one who's the persecutor will feel like it's not their fault that they're reacting this way. Of course they are. This is all out of their control. All they're trying to do is set some darn limits around here. All they're trying to do is just make something happen and everybody else is in their way, right? Also, we can have a force outside of us that we can feel like it's the persecutor. Like if we think about the pandemic, if we think about what's happening in the economy or in politics or at the job, right? We have this thing called the government, and that we put that internally, mentally, emotionally in the role of the persecutor because we ultimately have no power. Okay. Even the rescuer winds up feeling like a victim, and because they never have a choice. And then when the rescuer starts trying to set some limits and boundaries for themselves, everyone and everything turns on them. Anybody ever had that experience? You're like, what's wrong with you? How dare you? Don't you care? You're so selfish. Don't you see how we're suffering? I mean, like, you have more. Why wouldn't you give it? Right? So that goes on, and that's like I said, that's an upside down triangle. And what runs that triangle, what runs that dynamic is fear. That's at the center of it. Pure fear, because everyone's trying to get control of themselves and the situation, but they feel like there's only so much energy or resources or time, and they have to fight and claw for it. Does that sound like maybe how things are set up in our ordinary world, particularly in the United States? But we're seeing that played out. And it's like we're being conditioned to be in that paradigm all the time. Okay. So the other paradigm is the creator paradigm. Okay. And when we're in the creator paradigm, it's set like this, but the way it's set up, I don't have it written here, but I want to talk about this. The creator paradigm, at the top is the creator. You're conscious, you're aware, you are taking things at face value. You're not arguing with reality, which is a wonderful Byron Katie line. Okay. You're able to observe, right? And you're in a neutral position. In the role of, like in the other words, the persecutor, instead of being persecuted, we're having a challenge. There's a challenging situation. There's a challenge in front of us. There's a challenging person, whatever it is. And that person or that role or that situation is there for our growth. We see it as an opportunity for growth. Back in the olden days, I know I talk about this too much, but I used to be an apartment manager, and I was the one they would call when there was a really mad client, that person who's at the door yelling, screaming, being completely, irrational. They'd say, Catherine, quick, get over here. And I'd be like, oh, let's go. I loved it. You know why? Not because I like a good fight, which I do. I'm a scrappy girl. Okay. But what I came from, the position I was coming from, because I wanted to see how I could turn this around into a win-win situation. And so when you're thinking about what's in your life and these challenges come up, do you get excited or do you get afraid? And that's going to be your first clue if you're coming from the creator position or the victim position. Very important. The third position, where there's the rescuer, there's different names for it, but usually it's like coach, mentor, but it's really someone who, it's that questioning, like we want to ask new questions. And so when we're thinking about it, could be, all right, I need to get my head around this. You're the creator. I need to go to a power that's greater. I need to go to something or someone that has more experience in this matter. And I wanted to know how I should be looking at this and what questions I should be asking. So it's a curious position. Okay. In the center is love. Okay. So this is a very basic explanation of that one mentality, but a lot of times in spirituality, you may hear it phrased this way: you're either at the effect of the cause, or you are causing an effect. You're either at the effect of a cause or causing an effect. And that is you as the conscious creator. Okay, does that make sense? Are y'all with me? If I'm see if that was helpful. Okay, great. So when we think about creating our reality, we're thinking about just making a change. So we don't even have to think in terms of, I want to be a manifester, I want to make magic. Maybe you never read a consciousness book or manifesting or consciousness book in your life, but you have this sense that you have this potential in front of you. There's something in you that wants to express. True? True. And you have this sense that you could be doing more. Now, as humans, we are always comparing ourselves to others. How much money do they have? How much money do I have? How popular are they? How beautiful are they? Where am I on this scale? And that's our socializing. All right. And if we have set someone or something outside of ourselves as a standard, rather than tuning in to us to be the best version of ourselves, which one of those do you think is going to give you a greater sense of happiness, fulfillment, help you tap into your purpose? And which one do you think you actually have the ability to do? Because you will never be as good as someone outside of you. They're all in the Desiderata. It says, do not compare yourself to other people. There are always greater or lesser persons, right? So there's always going to be someone better. There's always going to be someone worse. But this isn't a competition game. This is an awakening consciousness game. Okay. And so your job is to be the best you. As Oscar Wilde said, be the best you because everyone else is taken. Be you. And this is what we're talking about, because you are the creator. So if you've ever wanted to create something new, this is really the basic model. And this is not my image, but I have the right to use it. But let's look at this as a whole first. Neville Goddard said that everything is reality. Everything is reality. But based on how we see reality determines what reality we have. Okay? And so when we are thinking about what it is that we want to create, first we're thinking about it. Every single thing begins with thought, and we have the awareness of the thought. We might have a feeling, we might have a discomfort, we might have a sense of change at first, but all starts with that thought. Nothing happens until we have that clear thought. And it might be, I need to change my life. This isn't working. I need something new. This isn't enough money. How do I make more money? I know I can make more money. It's time to make more money. We're going to use money as the metaphor tonight because that's something a lot of people can relate to. But everything that I'm talking about and what we're going to be using the one command for can be used in any aspect of your life. Okay. So we're going to be thinking about this, like, what are we aware of? But I want you to think about this for a second. At any given moment, we are receiving billions of bits of information. And there's millions of choices available to us. And thousands of things, trying to get our attention. But at any given moment, science has shown that we can only be consciously aware of and making conscious choice of about 7 to 9 things at a time. Otherwise, we're going to go right to default. So how would we know which 7 or 9, which one's important? Why would we choose that? How would it align to our values? There's a lot that comes into that one little choice. But what actually drives it is the subconscious mind, what's underneath, how we've been conditioned, our experiences, our memories, and from that we form our beliefs. Now, I don't know if you've heard this, but I've heard this probably 3 times today. So this is up in consciousness, that the problem is not what's happened to you. The problem is the meaning that you've given your experiences. They either support you or defeat you. Okay. So it's the meaning. It's also the meaning of when we have a feeling in our body, oh my gosh, what is this? There must be something wrong. I feel bad. If you're a little kid, if I feel bad, I must be bad. And this becomes like a core belief. So the way it actually works, we think something, then we decide how we feel about it, and then we decide what to do. Okay. What's actually happened to us, how all this has gotten set up is something will happen, we have a feeling. Then we tell ourselves about that feeling and we decide if it was good or bad. And then we think about what we have to do in the future to either avoid it or get more of it. Okay, this happens very quickly. This is not something that gets conditioned over time. As a hypnotherapist, I used to work with a lot of people with fears and phobias, and it was never a gradual conditioning. There was always an instant moment of decision. So if in an instant moment of decision, you can create an entire new paradigm and operating system that holds you back with the positive intention of keeping you safe, doesn't it make sense that you can instantly shift your paradigm to create more freedom and choices in your life? But we get hung up on the story and things taking time. Now, there are cycles. There's some things like we've created some things and those got to finish out, right? We've got to complete some things, but our awareness is instant. And when we are in a greater awareness, we have more choices and we're able to move and be more fluid. That's where this idea of flow comes from. Okay. So we've had this idea coming back to the triangle. Hey, I want to do something, or something has risen up into your awareness. It's time. I need to do this. Something's grabbed your attention. Maybe you have a good hookup to your inner system, and that's called intuition. But you got a sense that something was going on, brought into your conscious awareness. From that, you took action. Then you said, what do I want? What's happening? What needs to happen? What do I want? Okay. So then when we say, I want this, do you know how many times you speak that out loud? Very often we think it and we just do it. But there's a moment we go, yes, I'm doing it, because the spoken word is the activator. There is power in your words. So then as we become aware of what we want, it comes through into our emotions. It comes right down here. Now, the reason that this is split, the blue and the green, the thoughts and the experiences and memory, coming back to Neville Goddard saying that reality is everything. There's only reality. And imagination is king. Whatever we imagine will be made manifest. We've heard this many ways, many times from many people. So what happens is we get an image in our mind. So let's say you want a new job, and you could, in your mind's eye, you might think, yeah, it's time for a job. Then you ask yourself, what could you see yourself doing? In your mind's eye, pictures start arriving. I want this. I could do this. I could do this. And it's not until the emotion matches the picture and you go, boom, yes, is there any movement? Okay. The emotion has to meet what you're seeing. And that's why practices like visualization, building up your energy, is so important. But what will hinder your visualization, and a lot of people don't realize this, is your belief about what's possible. What will hinder it is your self-identity. And this comes down to those beliefs. So how can we change your self-identity? Do you know what? I'm going to tell you the secret right now. It's a decision. It's a decision. Number one, you're going to learn to love and accept who you are the way you are. And then you're going to find out what you need to be the best version of you. Not perfect. Please don't be perfect. Be quirky, be grumpy, be the thing, right? But be present to how you are and tell the truth. And once you love and start loving and accepting and have a new conversation with yourself about how you are, you're going to find a lot of awareness comes in, that self-acceptance comes in, your ability to communicate your wants and needs to others starts improving. It's amazing. But what we're thinking, what we're feeling, then this gets transmitted to the universe. How? Through our vibration. And we're going to talk about how can I raise my vibration? We hear this all the time. You want to manifest this thing, but you're here and there's this vibration thing, and you've got to raise your vibration and be at the vibration of the thing, and then it's got to be at the right moment. And you go, we're going to kiss, 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 and explode, and the thing you want is going to manifest. It's going to be fantastic, right? Okay, yes, that's what we're told. But how do we get up here? How do we make that happen? Do we try to pull the thing down to us? That didn't quite work. We're going to talk about that. But then love is the energy and the vibration of all creation. And everything, when the universe says, yes, make it so, it's like there's Bob Bresney says this, where he says, I believe in proanoia. I believe the universe is conspiring for my good. Honestly, the universe is just waiting for you to make a flipping decision so that it can organize itself so that it will deliver to you on your doorstep what it is that you want, need, or desire. It starts with that decision. But what stops us from making the decision is we think, I want this or I need this. It'd be cool if that happened. But how? How will it happen? How do I get there? And that keeps us circulating, and that keeps us in indecision. And then we start going backwards in our memories to the time that we were powerless and at the effect of others, rather than standing as the creator, looking out into our world and saying, what do I want to speak into life? This is where we get hung up. This is where we're going tonight, guys. Welcome to the journey. But first, coffee. I got a story to tell you, and it's about Asara Lovejoy, and the woman who created the technique called the One Command. She's the short one, and I'm the big tall lady. And Asara was my teacher and mentor for many years. She's still alive. She's living up in Washington State now, still teaching classes. I think she's 80 this year. I mean, what a powerhouse. And I'd known Asara for several years at this point. I'd been her student since '97. And this happened at around 2004, 2005. This picture is about 10 years old. Asara was living on Whidbey Island and had gotten an inheritance from her mother. Her mother had passed away. Her dad had been an attorney. The family that she comes from is quite prosperous. And Asara had a very nice inheritance from her mother's estate. Now, Asara had been working many years in different businesses, and at one point had a state licensed vocational school. She'd been a famous psychic in Southern California. Pretty cool. She had traveled the world as a consciousness teacher and had taken some additional training, but she had been working for years with incredible healers and teachers because she was in Southern California. They were all there and she was there for it. Okay, she was totally doing it. But she'd gotten the inheritance, and Asara said, I've always had a dream to have a retreat center on Whidbey Island. And so when she got her mother's estate, and she got her inheritance from the state, Asara went and looked for a piece of property. And she found a beautiful house, about 4,800 square feet. I think it had 6 bedrooms. And she said it was beautiful. It just needed some fixing up. And it was on a few acres, and it was not ocean front, but like the house across the street was the ocean front, and you could see the ocean, and you could walk down the lane and be right at the ocean. It was beautiful. Asara worked 2 years on this house, and she describes the project as one like they would get everything set and realize that the feng shui was off, and she'd have to change the whole room. This just was one thing after another, and indecision, and well, let's do this, but there's that, and she'd see what she'd created and she didn't like it. And so she started running out of money, and she had taken out a second loan. She'd actually taken out a loan. She'd paid cash for the house, but she took out a loan on the house. And it was time for the loan to come due. It was time for that first mortgage payment. And Asara says that the night before the loan was due, she was laying in bed, just wide awake, under the covers, literally just shaking. And she was doing all the magic stuff she knew to do. I mean, she's a consciousness teacher. She was very psychic, very hooked up person. She was doing all the clearing and healing and calling. She was doing everything she knew to do. And if you've ever been in that situation, give me a little thumbs up. You know that one where you go, or maybe you're so frozen in fear. It's like that joke I said, we've done absolutely nothing, and yet we're out of ideas, right? Just frozen. But Asara was just shaking, and she just could not figure this out. And she was really despondent. And she came downstairs and was making coffee. And she just had this moment of like, what have I done? What all of a sudden, just this clear understanding of what she had created. I mean, like what felt like this big opportunity she just had completely blown. And what she realized was that she was working through her grief with her mom, and she didn't want the money. She didn't want the stuff. She just wanted her mom. And the money, she didn't realize it was like this obstacle that she was trying to work her way through. And that's what we do with money. That's what we do sometimes when we jump into a business or some business opportunity or a relationship. We're trying to get rescued. We're trying to solve a problem. And then we feel bad because it didn't work out. We go, what's wrong with me? I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. Well, imagine being an incredible consciousness teacher, intuitive, someone who's taught about money, helped people create millions of dollars in their business. She generated millions of dollars, not only for other people, but for herself. But yet there was something that in her life that was this feast or famine all the time. It didn't matter how much she made. Somehow she always found a way to get rid of it. And this morning, she made coffee, and she looked at it and she said, and she had that epiphany and realized exactly what she'd done. She said, that's it. I cannot go another day like this. I'm not doing this anymore. And this is my house. This house was on my heart. This is my house. I'm not losing this house. And then she said, I don't know how I'm keeping this house. I only know I'm keeping this house. And immediately just making that statement, she felt at peace. Like, I don't know how, I only know I'm keeping it. And then she had been trained in working with theta, and she said, well, I don't know, maybe there's some beliefs around that's blocking me. Maybe I have some hidden beliefs sabotaging me. Maybe I need to have a new belief downloaded. And so she just rolled up her eyes, and she was like, oh, what do I command for? How do I say it? Because she learned this other technique. And then she just said, God, I don't know how I saved my house. I only know my house is saved, and I'm so grateful. And something about like that. And it was kind of messy, but it felt peaceful. And then she just went ahead and had the rest of her breakfast. And as she was, go get the shower, go through the day. And in the shower, she thought, what I could do is rent the house and maybe go get a smaller house and I could work and earn some money, and then that way it pays the mortgage, but then I can still get my business up and going, because she had set her whole business aside for three years at this point. She did not have the kind of skill set where you just go to Kelly Girl and do a typing test and go get a little job. That really wasn't an option. Asara made her money through teaching classes. And she said, well, I can get to work. I can get some clients. I can make something happen. She had enough faith in herself that she could figure it out. So she immediately took action. She went and called on 3 of the different realtors that were right there in Whidbey Island, or right there in her area. And they said, well, what do you want for the house? Like, well, it's got all these bedrooms. Here's the location. Here's the pictures. It's beautiful. And I need to get $3,600 a month rent for it. Today, that's not that unusual a rent. We'd be kind of happy to pay that for that big of a house. But they laughed at her. They said, no, you can't get that rent. That's too much, maybe $1,500. And instead of Asara accepting that, she said, no, you're not my realtor. No, I know that this is the right answer. And so she did not agree with what she was being told and what she saw, because they showed her listings and everything. She said, nope, I know what this house is worth. I know what my needs are, and I know it's going to happen, because she had made that decision that it was so. You need to understand something about Asara. When Asara makes up her mind, when Asara is right, she's right, and you cannot move her. She is that totally like that immovable object. You cannot move her off of that decision. When she knows, she knows. And she went home and called up a friend of hers and was telling what was going on. And he said, well, have you heard of Craigslist? And at the time, Craigslist was kind of new. And she said, I don't know what that is. And he said, well, I've got the pictures of your place, because they'd been advertising it as the Arbor Retreat. And he said, I'll post an ad for you. The next day, a family from Texas contacted her, said they loved the pictures. They wanted to put in an application. She told them that how much the rent was, and it was first and last month's rent for the deposit. So, and then there was another, and then first and last month's rent, but then there was, I think, another damage deposit, and that gave her more than enough money to go rent a smaller house for about $800 a month. 2 weeks later, I was having my own epiphanies. My own stuff was going on. And I'd taken a class from Asara, and I had a brand new client who said, what are you doing? What is this technique you're using? And I told her what it was. And I said, well, my teacher lives in Whidbey and she goes to Canada and stuff. Maybe she could do a class if you can get some people together. So 2 weeks later, after this big revelation and just moving into her new house, flat broke at that point, I called her and I said, do you still teach classes? She said, yes, I do. And that first class had 20 people. She went back to that same city several times later. And this program, the One Command and Commanding Wealth, all came from that first group of people. And that's the story. That's where this came from. So the reason I tell you this is because we have this idea when we're learning a new technique or a method that it has to be perfect. But all I can really share with you are the principles, because I've worked with this technique since 2006. And I'm still learning its potential. I've taught thousands of people this method, and I apply it to my own life every day. And I have a daily broadcast called the Daily One Command. And I'm amazed at the teaching that's coming through. And I feel like I'm almost co-creating with the One Command itself, this creation. And I'm getting downloads, and the teachings and the work is just expanding. And I really think it has to do with the consciousness on the planet and what's happening and all the shifts that are going on. So what we have are some basic principles, and I'm going to go over these very quickly. One, the science is in your own true power, your own open potential. Now we hear that, we go, I'm infinite, except if you think about what you want, need, or desire, it doesn't feel very infinite, does it? It feels like I can only have so many choices, or that would be cool if I could make that happen. But there is a potential inside of you. We operate from the assumption that you are the master of your life, and you are biologically created to make positive change in your life. It's all set up and it resides right in the master DNA strand. And we're going to talk very briefly about that. And right now, you're currently living from a programmed belief system that just limits your abilities and greater success. And we think about programming, we think about our family systems. There's the one that you actively remember, like, yeah, I grew up in my family and this is what my dad did and my mom did, or this, I was raised in an orphanage. My mom was raised in an orphanage. It was a very different mindset. So I don't really like to think about beliefs as much as I like to think about orientation. What's the starting point of what we believe, right? But we have conditioning that's more than our own experiences. When we're all these impressions are and teachings and everything's being handed down to us, one, we're getting like a psychic download from our parents, but there's also everything that we've ever heard, felt, or experienced is encoded in our DNA. And it's called the morphogenic field that surrounds the master DNA strand that's located in your pineal gland. And that's like a little recorder. Okay. And it records all of our experiences. In fact, it's to the degree that this is why this is important. There's been studies that showed, and when they started looking back, they wanted to be able to see like the long-term effects on nutrition. So they found this one little church, I believe it's like in Scandinavia, Norway, somewhere, and they had all the birth and death records going back many, many generations in this little church. And they started looking at the patterns of births and deaths and illnesses, and they tracked all the famine. And they showed that if there was a famine at one generation, it could affect 4 generations. And the biggest limitation and effect of that famine, for everybody who survived, actually could have a big impact on the 4th generation more than the 3rd or the 2nd. So this is recorded in our master DNA, but what's also recorded is all of our family triumphs, everything that helped them survive, all the blessings, right? All the lessons and blessings, right? All the good things, skills and talents and attributes, attitudes, all that's recorded there, and you can change it. So we believe that there is a greatness within you, and that your greater capacity to create what you want is inherent in your DNA. And I'm just going to talk about this for a minute, because you need to understand that when we're making changes, we're making them all the way down to the DNA level. Okay. And we're making that shift not only at a cellular level and a mental, like, oh, I just have a different attitude. You're changing your DNA. And when you change your DNA, you're changing your family's DNA. Okay. So and you can know what your hope. Okay. I want to jump back because I'm kind of reading off here, but it's important. This is a very important sentence. You know that you know what you are capable of by your hopes, wishes, and desires. So the way Asara says that, it's our hopes, wishes, and desires that give us the clue about who we are and the greatness within. So if you desire something, then the capability to accomplish that desire is already within you. We have this, this idea is like, wow, I'd really love to sing. I wish I could sing like that. I wish I could be good in business like that. I wish I could be charming like that. Well, if you have that desire, you have that capability. Okay, it's already within you. But I could also say that your fears and your doubts give you clues about who you believe who you really are. So this DNA talk is very important in understanding the one command. Now, we talk more about this in the one command technique training. Asara has a new one. I don't have information about it on this call, but when I send you the replay, I'll give you information about Asara's class, where Asara brilliantly goes through not only the science of how we're receiving this, but how, as what we're thinking and feeling is impressed upon the universe, and how we're communicating through our consciousness, and how our consciousness literally causes molecules to organize and makes things happen. But I have so many miracle stories. I don't really think of it in terms of, gosh, like the first story I always tell is when I smashed a tail light on my car. I was in the middle of moving and there was a lot going on, but I lived in a place where I knew I did not want to get a ticket for a smashed tail light, because in my youth I had gone to jail for such a thing in that same town. So I said, "Oh, I've got to get this fixed, but I only have a very short amount of time, right? I got to get this done." And oh man, it's going to cost about $150. And I really was wanting to save my money right then. I was really conserving my cash. And it was just like, well, I don't know how this tail light's fixed in 30 minutes for free. I only know it is now, and I am fulfilled. And I laughed. I was like, yeah, great. But then I thought, well, I need to go ahead and go over to the Toyota house. Now, already I'm going to tell you that fast action, I am a natural procrastinator. And it would have made more sense to go after my appointment, but something said go. And I went, okay. My emotions were lined up with my intention, and there was nothing stopping me. I got there. They said, yep, it's $150. They said, but wait, looks like you've got some body damage there. Why don't you go over to the body shop? Now there's a second stop I wasn't planning on making, and I had visions of my $1,000 deductible, right? But I heard go, and I just pulled over there, went over there. The place was empty, talked to one guy. He said, oh, let me take a look. He took my car. He came back in 10 minutes because I said, I've got to be someplace in 20 minutes. And he came back and he had a new tail light on my car. And he said, there's no charge because it's off a used vehicle and it's not a perfect match. And I was like, how did that happen? If I had said, let me call and see if it's free taillight day anywhere, it didn't happen. But what did I do? I made a decision, I took action, and acted upon my intuition. And it happened to be that some circumstances were exactly right, and I had no resistance. My DNA really literally did act as a little antenna. And I don't know, I could say I organized a whole new world, but maybe I jumped timelines. I don't know. I only know I drove away with a brand new, well, not brand new to me, but I drove away and got to my appointment on time. I had a nice new tail light, and it didn't cost me a dime. Okay. So you are biologically hardwired for your success. And in the field of open potential, you can choose to create new images. And that's what I was getting. I saw the picture of the Toyota house. I went, okay. And the feelings in your DNA at will. And once you know that you have that power to do so, you just take action. So in the new science, they talk a lot more, and particularly we're talking about quantum physics rather than the empirical science of cause and effect. It's talking about, as we come into our conscious awareness, we are having an effect upon the world and in consciousness, and we are causing things to happen. You need to know too that your beliefs are not fixed. We get this idea, we've met people that they have a really fixed belief system, but it's only by choice. In order to make a change, you have to form them and reform them. And what she's also talking about here is every time you have a memory to support your decision, I had to do this. Why? Because there was this time and I remember when that thing happened, and that's why I can't do it. Every time we access our memories, we're actually remembering the last time we remembered, and that's what she's talking about here. So we have many, many choices all the time. So part of our main philosophy is we have the ability to live in open potential in the conscious field consciously. We're going to choose what to express in the DNA and create a new potential. So when we're doing these commands, we're not just speaking words. These are not incantations. This is a physical event that you're creating. Okay. All right. I will share these slides with you, and I will give you a copy, my copy of the original One Command book. Okay. I want to go ahead and move forward here. So when we're thinking about how we experience reality, we experience it through the brain waves. Okay. In our ordinary level of thinking, and I apologize for the quality of the slide here. Right now, in your ordinary thinking, we're in what's beta. You're listening to me, we're awake, we're alert. I know you're so excited to be getting this information. There's a certain amount of tension. But when we're in this ordinary way of thinking, it's a very small sphere of influence. Remember that 7 to 9 things? And what we're aware of and what we're thinking from is what we've already been conditioned to accept. But it's kind of like looking through this little teeny lens of reality. And if you are looking for a solution and your solution's over here, and you try to look and you can't get to it because you're not on the same level, and you're not going to see it. But also, if you've been conditioned to believe that things are hard, it's not yours, you don't have the right to ask, those things, that's going to keep you from taking action. That's beta. Beta is very good for test taking, completing tasks, and hey, let's learn how to drive a car and manage our lives. It's wonderful. We need it. But then, as we start wanting to solve problems in our life, when we think about changing our life, what is the first thing we do? We kind of go into alpha. We go into a relaxed dream state. Now, when you're watching TV, you're very often in alpha. You're relaxed and you're just accepting what you're seeing. Okay. It's just very, very passive. It has a different sphere of influence. You're able to kind of track things. Like if you're in beta, you can only track things probably, let's say, in an area about as big as, I live in Texas, big as the state of Texas, right? That's how much what Asara calls your sphere of influence. That's how much you can be aware of and track and impress your energy on. In alpha, it's like going out to the outer edges, like of that Schumann field, which is that magnetic field that surrounds the earth. Have you ever seen the picture of the earth and it looks like that apple, it has the two big waves like this? That's in alpha. But the thing is, when you're in alpha, you're only going to imagine what you know to already be real and a possibility. You're just going to be able to configure things a certain way. So when we thought about flying, we saw birds flying and we said, well, if I wonder what it would look like if I could fly. Well, we never thought about going to the moon for a long time because we'd never seen anything go to the moon, but we saw stuff fall from the sky. So we had this sense of stuff could come to us, but we really didn't equate that with going out. Okay, that's thinking in alpha. We're in theta. This is that dream state. You know, in that highway hypnosis, and you're in that reverie, and you're getting these really rich pictures, and then you pull up to the place that you were driving to, and you wonder how you got there. There you are in theta. And you're unconscious. You're actually more, this says unconscious, but that's in deep theta. There's this period between alpha and theta that you're in, called a hypnagogic state. And that's kind of like that drifting off to sleep. And that's why so many teachers teach that when you're doing your meditations and affirmations and you're rereading your goals, to do that at night and in the morning while your brainwave is still kind of low. Okay. And in this state, your neurology is relaxed, you're open, you're able to receive, but you're also detached from your conditioning. And then we go into delta, we're in that deep, unaware sleep, and that's when we're expanding way out. Now, the next one is gamma. And when gamma, I don't have it pictured here, but when we're in gamma, it's a very fast brainwave. And what it does, it unifies all the information. And when it's the gamma wave that allows us to grab all the different pieces of information in our brain. and gives us that instant information. That's where that epiphany feeling is. Okay. So we talk about theta all the time because we're working a lot in theta. There's a lot of benefits of being in it. And and working with the one command, it's coupling the statement of the one command and going into the theta brainwave. That is kind of the secret sauce that makes this happen, that allows us to connect to a greater vision of what we believe is possible. Okay. And so we're consciously using the brain waves to expand our consciousness, but give us greater awareness, not only of what's out there, but what is within us and what needs to shift. And that's why I believe with Asara telling the story, when she really had that epiphany about how she had everything set up, she had the intention of, here's this big issue that's got to get solved for me. And the mind always wants to know why, how. But once she was able to see what she had done, that helped her understand that she had created something for her good. She had just created the wrong thing. And I want you to understand that up until now, you have been doing a lot of the wrong things for the right reasons. And so the first thing that you're going to discover is grace and empathy within yourself and for yourself. And an amazing thing happens when you do that. You start meeting the world from the state of grace and empathy, and the world starts responding. It becomes a much friendlier world. So I want to just talk briefly about the basic one command statement. Okay, now this is the basic format. There's 3 parts to the one command. The first is the I don't know how. Now, this is a really important statement. Now, remember when Asara said, I don't know how. Well, that's a decision point, because anytime we want something, the first thing the mind says is, how? How are we going to do it? How are we going to make that happen? What do we have to do? What makes you think you could do that? Right? How in the world could that possibly happen? Like if I had a co-passenger in the car with me the day that my taillight buzzed, and I said, you know what? This car is getting fixed, and within 30 minutes, it's going to be for free. And they went, how is that going to happen? If I'd spent a minute, an instant contemplating that, I would have never gone through the next steps. Truth is, we don't know how. We might have an idea of what's possible. We might even think we know what we should be doing. It might even be clear in our mind, but there is something inside of us that's stopping us. So we say, I don't know how, because that causes the mind to rest, to go, okay, I'm not going to ask how. But you know what the mind also hears? It doesn't hear contractions. It doesn't hear negative words. So what do you think your mind hears? I know how and whatever it is that you want to state, whatever it is you want to create. And the mind goes, oh, do we know? And it starts going on a search. Well, this must be possible. But it bypasses your own negative thinking and fearful state of being, all your conditioning. So that's why we say, I don't know how and then we state very simply what we want. And that's probably the hardest thing, because everyone, when they're learning the one command, they start trying to put a bunch of conditionings. But we want to follow Neville Goddard's philosophy on this. Is like, we have to assume that if we want it, it must be possible. And we have to assume that all the conditions are going to be right. Okay, so state simply what you want. So very often, like I work with people who want a new career, they want to start a new business, particularly a lifestyle business. And they go, well, I don't know how. I have a wonderful life traveling, and I'm well supported in it. I have all the money I need. Right? And you go, well, that's an incredible command. They say, but I don't want a crappy job. I don't want to work remote. I don't want to be MLM, and I want to be able to do it without having to go to an office every day. It's like, okay, stop that. That is a habit of thought, because that kind of talking is assuming that all these other conditions have to be right before what you command will happen. But what if the opposite is true? That as you command it, the conditions line up because you're aligning to your own heart through the 6 steps that we're going to be taking you through. It's going to be aligning to you as the creator, your own skills, attributes, abilities, and your own personal needs. So you're going to state very simply what you want. And then the next part is more of an affirmation. I only know it is so now, or I only know I do now, depending on what's grammatically correct. I only know it's so now. Why do we say now? Because in the subconscious mind, there is no next week, and it does not know, even though mentally you may understand that the bills are due on the first of the month, it doesn't know when the first of the month is. Your subconscious mind only knows now. Okay, so remember, it's always now o'clock in the subconscious mind. That is my little dog, Dusty. He wants to sing you a song. Dusty, he just woke up from a dream. I'm so sorry. It's my little Shih Tzu. Baby, come here. Dusty, that's enough. That's enough, baby. Dusty, that's enough. I had to put a pillow by him. Sorry. Okay. So I only know it's so now, and I am fulfilled. That state of being a fulfillment, this actually turns on that internal system that creates the dopamine in your belly so that you can feel good about the stuff you're doing. Like, up today, got to do the laundry. And laundry is not particularly exciting, but you get it done and you fold it up and put it away and you go, oh, yeah, that looks great. That feels good. I didn't like, I always hate doing laundry, but oh gosh, it always feels so nice when it's all put away. And I love being able to pull out my clothes and they're all hanging nicely or whatever, right? That fulfillment and that little be able to give yourself, like, look at what the steps are. You're looking at them from a neutral position. You're able to do what's necessary without all the story, all the drama, all the resistance of, oh, I hate this, I never do this, I don't like marketing, or whatever the stuff you tell yourself, right? I'm not really a promotion guy. I don't really do that stuff. No, you go, oh, well, this is this. My intuition's saying to contact these people to do this or this. And it just becomes the next thing to do. And even though it's not your favorite, it feels really good because your self-esteem and self-worth start growing. And this is what supports it. So it says, so that fulfillment is like the journey itself becomes part of your growth, and you know that it was worth it, right? And that's what we want. We can go through anything if we know that it's going to be worth it. And that's what it's telling us. Okay. So in your handout, I have a very brief I have a little exercise I use, but I want to give you a chance. If you need to get a drink of water, take a quick potty break, or raise your hands and ask questions about anything I've talked about so far, we can do that. So let's just take about a 3-minute break, about 3 minutes, and I'll be present to you, but we're going to go over to the next section. All right, and thanks to everybody. I see that a lot of people did go ahead and find us. Thank you to everybody who's with us today. Just want to give a little shout out. I see Alexandra, Alita. Oh, Alita, hi. Amy, sweet Amy is here. April. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful just friends here and longtime followers. Cassandra and Judy, Kathleen, Richard, Sandra, Susan, Tana. And then we have someone who is, looks like it's a Dallas Fort Worth number, but hello and welcome. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you being with me, and everybody's watching by replay. Thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna give it about 2 more minutes. I'm gonna take a little sip of water myself. So we're gonna practice on creating your first command. If you haven't printed out the sheet, you can just use a plain sheet of paper, or you can just follow along, but this kind of helps for you to get clear on what your command is. If I'm giving another minute, I know that there's some people that need just another minute to come back. I'm just checking messages. Oh, you know what I really appreciate? So many people who said, "Oh, Catherine, I want to be on that call. Is it going to be recorded?" And they were sure to let me that they could or couldn't be here. I was like, oh, wow, thank you so much. I just appreciate everyone. Okay, let's dive in. Do you have your worksheet, or maybe we can just see this? Okay. So when we're thinking about, maybe I can drag these controls down because these are bothering the heck out of me. Excuse me 1 second. Let's see if I can move these silly things because they are in the wrong place. Okay. So on this worksheet, and I have it in your handouts, this gives you a good way to think about your command. So when we are asking in the column number 1, what do you want to change, remove, or improve? Like this is really more of a bigger picture. Like it would be, I don't have enough money, or I need more money. It could be like a Sarah going, okay, how am I going to save my house? Maybe you need some clarity on something and you're feeling overwhelmed or confusion. Maybe you've got a personal situation and you know it's time to change, but you don't know what to do. But just think about what it is that you want to change, remove, or improve. And very simply, like one line, how would you describe it? Not enough money. Too many bills. Stressed all the time. Whatever it is. The very simple way that we could go, what do you want instead? Is if you don't have enough money, you want more than enough money, right? If you're worried about the bills are due, you want the bills paid. If you're feeling overwhelmed or confused, you want clarity and calm. So take a minute and just think about your main goal, because we're going to kind of come up with 2 or 3 commands. Okay. Now, a lot of people kind of freak out. They go, no, which one do I choose? That's scarcity thinking. And guess what? There are over 30,000 choices in any given second. We're just learning. Okay. So you're not going to miss out on anything. So if you've got what you want to change, remove, or improve, and what you want instead. Okay. And you got maybe you have 2 or 3 things written down. Maybe you only have 1. But then when you think about, okay, I just need to make more money. I don't have enough money. You want to make more money. Well, if you made more money, what would improve? What would change or improve as a result of having more money? You'd feel safer. You'd feel calmer. You'd feel more secure. You'd have the money to do more things. Right? Really spend some time. Like if I got what I wanted, what would change? Because, there are a lot of people that they make money and they're still not any happier. And this is a big fear of people who don't have money and they want to command money. Because the first thing they're told? Well, money doesn't buy happiness. You know who tells them that? People who have money and who are well fed, well clothed, and well housed. Who don't worry about losing any of those things. Money will not buy you happiness, but it will help manage the things that are causing unhappiness. True? Yeah. So who wants to share in fact, raise your hand who would like to be a volunteer And I'd love to get some feedback and kind of walk you through this sheet and see where we are. So if you'd like to be a volunteer, raise your hand and I will call on you, and you will need to turn on your camera. Okay? Because I'm going to walk you through this. Unless this makes perfect sense and we can move on, but it would help if we had somebody volunteer. Okay?
Richard raised his hand.
Oh, there we go. I was looking for you, Richard. Okay, so there we go. Let me make sure you got your camera on. There we go. I see you. Hello, Mr. Richard. I didn't have the gallery on. Okay, so thank you for being my guinea pig.
It's okay.
All right. Now we want to keep our answers as simple as possible.
Sure.
So what is it on what did you come up with on what you want to change, remove, or improve?
Well, it's something we've already discussed, but I'll do it, as a group. I want clarity as to what to do to take my next step to fulfilling my mission with my audio movie, to bring it up to another level where it produces income.
Okay, great. All right. So you want your audio movies to get out there. So right now it's not happening. You're ready. You want to get traction on it. And as a result, it's going to create income for you.
Well, it
Right?
needs to be reproduced as an audio visual with the right people that would take it to another level. So that's the way
Okay.
it's going to make income. That's where it's going to produce a lot of income.
All right. So right now you're the world's best kept secret on your program, right?
Yeah.
All right. So right now what you want to remove, change, remove, or improve is it's not getting the traction. It's not getting the eyes on it, right?
Hmm.
Okay, great. And what you want instead is you want to get the visibility so that it will get chosen, right? So that
Right.
get the contract.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're actually kind of breaking things out. One, it's not being seen. Next, you want visibility. And whatever improve as a result is your chances of it getting seen by the right people.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, then we say, well, that'll improve, but then it's like, I don't know how it's seen by the right people, right? So
Mhm.
then we'd say it's not being seen by the right people. And then the next problem would be what you want to change, remove, or improve is not knowing what exactly to do because you're doing everything you know to do, right?
Mm.
So it feels like there's a missing piece to what needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
I
Sure.
don't know. So you need to know what to do and how to do it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So what you want instead, you don't know what to do or how to do it. And what you do want instead is I want to know what to do and how to do it, right?
Yes.
What would improve as a result, not even beyond someone picking it up, but if you had that sense of I know what to do and how to do it, what do you think would happen as a result?
Oh, I could see very clearly. It just everything would be in full gear, and it would be very exciting. It would be very fulfilling. Be a lot of money coming in. Be
Yeah,
able to help my family as well. A lot of good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd be more confident, right? And just
More
even taking the
confident.
steps, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then moving towards that. See, he's got that big end in mind,
Hmm.
but there's where he is now, and then there's the big end, but the gap is filled with not a lot of clarity. There doesn't seem to be any bridges yet.
Correct.
So we don't know how, but he does his intuition. I'm going to speak for you. I'm making this up, Richard, and you can
Please.
correct me. His intuition is there is a step that he needs to take, not just so that the thing can get seen, but he knows that there's something inside of him that needs to change. Richard is very clear on that. And he knows that once he can get that clear vision, then he will faithfully follow the steps because he's done every single thing. Okay, right? You've done everything you've known to do. And then in your own mind, it'd be more likely, right? You feel that greater potential and possibility, but then let's say today the absolute perfect director showed up our producer, right? Some company said, what the heck did you guys do? Get over here. Let's make some more of this, right?
Yeah.
You might actually unconsciously sabotage it. You might block it. You might stumble. You might not be as prepared for that moment, right? So I feel like there's something in that preparation, right? And this is what you're going through is you're growing and you're increasing your capacity to act in this greater way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we're after. So the very simple command is, I don't know how, I am absolutely prepared for my success.
Yeah, I like that.
So when we're working through these ideas, we really want to break it out because we could go into a long story about why or how and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But when you start tuning into that picture and the feeling, the information is going to come up a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Makes
make
sense.
sense?
Makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, Catherine. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then when he does that, every time as he takes action, every time there's something that stops or you get to a point, you go, okay, there's a new decision point, then you just do the command. But it could take 2 or 3 lines down for you to get what it is that you actually want to command. But you can start imperfectly and you can command at each line. Okay. Does this make sense or does anybody have questions right now? I'm going to throw it open and get any feedback or questions, and you can just unmute yourself.
Well, I'd already said it. It makes perfect sense what you're saying to me.
Thank you, Richard.
I'll mute so somebody else can talk.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being the volunteer here.
I'll always volunteer, but I want to give other people a chance too. I mean, don't take up too much time with,
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now we are going to have time that we are asking. I'll be helping you format a command because we're going to be doing a one command center session. Any questions or anything, or can we go ahead and move on? Are we ready to move on? Okay, great. So this is a great tool for you to start learning how to get clear. That's one thing that people with me, they'll go, oh my gosh, Catherine, I can't form a command like you. It's like, well, 15 years and I don't even know how many thousands of sessions at this point. You learn to hone it down pretty quick, but it is a working process. One thing I do want to say, the number one mistake that people make is they will, in the one command statement, let me see if I can get back to that, is that they will say instead of, I don't know how, goodness sakes, there we go. I don't know how and you state your command. I only know it is so now, and I am fulfilled. People try to insert the word but. I don't know how I do this, but I only know I am. That they're kind of trying to interrupt that thought. And we want to keep this as an open flow. So you've got to break the habit of using the word but. Okay, that is the number one. Number two, you want this, where we state the one command, we want it to be positively stated. Okay, I don't know how I keep from getting my car towed versus I don't know how I have everything I need to keep my car. Very different. And so you always want to state it positively. Okay. All right. So there's that tool. We want to talk briefly about the physical state of the one command. And we're going to be doing an eye roll. And this is actually just a representation so you can see someone's eyes are up. But what I'm going to get closer. What it actually looks like is your eyes are softly closed, just lightly. And then you're going to roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look up through the top of your head. Your eyes may flutter a bit, or there could be a little white. We only have to hold our eyes up for just the first few minutes because it gets uncomfortable and starts straining. Now, Sarah says she loves holding her eyes up the whole time. But what I find for me is if I hold my eyes up, I start to have a conversation in my head about my eyes. About my eyes are up. How long do they need to be up? Like, have you ever meditated? It's like, oh my God, how long have I been here? Am I breathing in? I'm breathing out. What does that sound? Right? Kind of squirrel kind of thing. we don't want anything to stop that. And so for me, what I've discovered is we're going to talk about the eye roll and why it matters, how we're using it, as I wave my hand at you, what's actually happening there. Okay. So this is a physical event. We're bypassing the beta brain. And then what's naturally happening when we do this eye roll is we're bypassing our neurology and all of our internal programming. We are kind of hooked up through our habits, and we can actually get payoffs, emotional payoffs, by running a negative pattern, which means it can feel good to be bad. It can feel good to fail. We'll feel that relief. Like you explode in anger and suddenly go, relief. And even though you might have hurt people, there's a completion of a cycle. Okay. We want to start coming from a neutral point of view to where we're in that observer. And it's very calm, it's centered, but we're getting feedback of our emotions, but we're not led by our emotions. Okay. Now, in this eye roll thing, I want to just talk about this for a second. Let me turn the screen off. Stop share. I took off my glasses and then tried to read something. Okay. When we're in our ordinary state of mind, we use our eyes and we're looking around, right? We're scanning the world. And there's a theory, it comes from applied kinesiology, and they borrow this in NLP, called eye accessing cues. So when we're thinking and remembering, we're actually using our eyes to look at different parts of our brain, right? So if you talk to someone and you see that they kind of go, I'm listening, and they're kind of looked up and they're kind of diffused like that, they're getting a visual. Sometimes you might see their eyes going left or right. They're not being shifty. What they're doing is they're hearing words. And it could depend on, hey, if something's in the past, if it's oriented to the past or to the future, which direction their eyes goes. This is called submodalities in NLP. If we want to access our emotions, we'll be looking down towards our body. Okay. If we want to remember something, we may want to look down to the left, and we want to create something new. We want to imagine something new. We might look to the right because we're checking in with our feeling state. We're accessing kind of like some internal records there. Okay. Now, this is not a class about that, but we need to understand, just in our ordinary way of thinking, we're accessing different parts of our brain all the time. If we want to relax and start lowering our brainwave, all you have to do is just look slightly up, and that's about 15 to 20 degrees up. Okay, sorry, this is 15 to 20 degrees up, and you're going to notice, just relax your eyes, just look slightly up, and you notice that the body already starts to calm down. You feel slightly alert, and your emotions are calmer, and you're already kind of starting to pause. Okay. You're detaching from all that energy, everything you're telling yourself, all your programming and conditioning. You're just kind of becoming neutral, and you're passive. And then if I were to ask you to imagine a cat meowing, you might first see a picture, and you could picture, visualize, or imagine a cat meowing. You might be able to tune in and think about that sound of the cat meowing. And you might feel your eyes kind of shifted for a second. You might have internally said cat meow, and then you heard the sound and it matched the picture. Then you could think about, oh my gosh, I remember back in the day, I lived at this one house and there was a cat outside my house and it sounded like a baby crying. So we could imagine, because we've heard a cat crying, and it sounded kind of like a baby crying, which is a trick in nature, which they used to lure us outside to pick them up so we could feed them, right? But what if we had a baby and the baby just started purring like a cat and going meow, meow, meow? Could you imagine that? Well, you've never heard of it or seen it, but you can imagine it because you've seen the opposite. You've just gone into alpha. Isn't that cool? We've just gone into alpha. We've used our memory and our imagination. We created a visual. So then when we roll our eyes on up, what we're doing is we're mimicking what happens in sleep when our eyes roll back and our whole body relaxes, goes online, and then we're going into the deeper symbolic language of the subconscious mind. And there's this period between that alpha and that deeper symbolic, really rich symbolism that we're kind of half awake, half asleep. And that's where we are in our, that's the sweet spot of the one command. Okay. So right now, I just want to walk you very briefly. I've described it, but right now, I just want to invite you to just close your eyes, take a breath, and just be present in your own body. Just notice how it feels of where you are right now. How it feels wherever you're sitting. With your eyes closed, and be quiet for just a second so you could tune into what other sounds you may hear in this quietness. You may be aware of the temperature of the room and how it feels on your skin, if it's cool or warm, or if there's a breeze. Just be aware for just a moment of any smells. If you want to increase your ability to smell, you could open your mouth slightly and let your tongue also catch the smells. As you're aware of your body, you may be aware of certain aches or pains. And just notice what happens as you just simply accept that feeling in your body, that you're simply aware of it, and take a deep breath and let it go. Next time, this next breath, imagine that oxygen that you're breathing in is going directly into your body, anywhere you may have stiffness or achiness or pain. Breathe in. And in your mind's eye, just watch that energy of that oxygen going into you, your body receiving it. Hold it and let it go. And as you breathe out, just observe, feel, notice, pretend that energy that was locked in your body is going right out on that breath. Let's do another breath in. Now it's easier to let that air come in. Let it grab. Maybe you have some lactic acid in the muscles there. Let's gather all that excess lactic acid. And now we're just going to breathe it out. And just for a second, keep your eyes closed and just keep your awareness in your body. Move around a little bit and just notice what you notice, if you feel lighter or easier. So what we did, you can open your eyes, is we actually did beta, because you picture your body, right? And then we lowered our brainwave and we became aware of it, and we used our imagination to increase our awareness of our body. Isn't that lovely? Who noticed some aches and pains lifting or shifting? Anybody feel any difference there? This is one of my favorite things to do in the morning when I'm all stiff and I'm 64 this year. Things need to get a little move on, right? Okay, so this is our first thing, and this is a really simple way to ground, is just simply be aware of here and now, this moment. You're engaging your 5 senses. Actually, I would say your full senses. Okay. So this relaxed state of being is how we are meeting the world. Okay. Now, very briefly, the 6 steps of the one command, pardon me, get all excited here, is that first we are going to be present. We know what we want to create. We've made the decision, right? And we said, this is what I want. Now, very often people just want to just shoot things out there. They're just trying to, like say the right incantation. This is not an incantation. This is the greater part of you having a new conversation with the greater infinite intelligence of the universe. That's what's going on here. Very powerful. So we're going to start with the grounding. Okay. And we did that first step. The second step is what we call aligning. And that's when we're focusing on our heart. And what we're doing is we're just connecting the love in our heart. We become aware of the love in our heart. And very often, if you've listened to any of my broadcasts, you may hear me say that whatever it is that you want to create, we're going to align it to the creation. And that creation is aligning with you. This helps you become aware that it's already here. Remember this? I want to manifest this. We got to vibrate at that. How the way we shift that vibration is by lowering our brain wave. As we lower our brain wave, that raises our consciousness. This activates our visual sense, and we're able to be on that same plane of the thing that we want to create. So we're aligning to it. Then, as we have our intention, we very softly roll our eyes up. So let's just practice that for a second. Roll your eyes up. Keep them closed for a second as if you're trying to look up through the top of your head. Remember to breathe. And now just let it release. Great. Great. You're already doing great. We have our one command statement. So we'll state it with our eyes up. Then we expand. And what's happening in expanding, we're actually expanding consciousness. This is a statement to our subconscious mind to expand this request out to idea even greater that serves more fulfillment. More good in its fulfillment. Pardon me. We're expanding out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. So the idea is like, hey, if you're rich, everybody's going to be rich. If your needs are met, well, then you're going to make it possible for even more people's needs to get met. It's a good thing for you to have what you ask for, which goes completely against most of our conditioning, isn't it? Like, don't ask, don't ask, don't tell, don't bother, right? We're always holding and regulating ourselves. We're conditioned very early not to ask because it could take something away from someone else. It could cause pain. And that's just a belief. That's just an old feeling. So when we do that, we're accepting this greater possibility. This is instantly going to raise, again, your vibration, but this is going to expand your sense of what's possible. And then we spend time consciously receiving. This is actually a good representation of what you look like when we're talking about the one command. We're having you be completely present. Your energy body starts lining up. We're grounding you into the earth energy, and this center pole in the light is your connection to source. And we send your consciousness up that pole of light. This field of energy around you is your vibration. This is you in that expanded, relaxed state. So as we're taking you through the visualization, this is actually what's being held in our mind as we're walking you through. This is Asara's intention, where you are connected to all things. Now, very briefly, you may see these colors, and these colors represent the chakra system. And the way to think about the chakra system is these energy centers in our body, and you probably know this. But as this earth energy is coming up through the first chakra, the root chakra, what's happening is these act like circuit breakers. Okay. And if they're blocked or turned off at any point, it will block that creative life force energy from aligning to the spiritual life force energy. And so our job in our awakening and through as we're going through consciousness into these levels of awareness is what's happening is we are opening our channels. And as we open these channels, our awareness and our consciousness expands. And whatever that we see that we want, that what we think and what we say starts manifesting very quickly. You're going to spend a lot of time. I know I do. And when we're in, in the one command world, we would laugh all the time. I literally just thought that I was about to say it and it popped in. It's amazing. And it becomes a game to see how fast things can manifest. Once you've made the decision, you make the command, and then you take inspired action. It's pretty cool. I want to talk for a second about the difference between an affirmation and the one command. Now, this week in the daily one command, I am talking about turning affirmations into transformation, okay, and how we can actually use this. But we see these, we like it. It's a beautiful thing. I've got a phone full of them. I love these. You know why? It feels good to say it, right? I love these. But what'll happen is we say the affirmation, and there's a part of us that says, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? I wish I could do that. I wish I could feel that. So what happens is we're filled with desire. Desire is actually kind of a crappy booby price because we don't actually believe we can have it, but we get that good feeling of the desire to replace actually making the thing we want manifested. There's this gap between where we are now and where we want to be. And depending on our experience is what we put in that gap. And we spend a lot of time desiring, wishing, and wanting, writing and hoping, but it is not creating. It just gives us a good feeling. It gives us validation. It gives us something to distract ourselves. And I'm not saying don't do affirmations, because after you do your one command, you may need to remind yourself, like, yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. But you're speaking these from a different level of authority. So we're going to do a little thought experiment. Okay. So, hey, but let's say this one first. I'm going to say it and just follow along, read along with me. I am worthy of receiving all the abundance, prosperity, and wealth the universe is ready to bless me with. And then they have sealed with love. That sounds wonderful. Remember that victim mindset thing I talked about way back at the beginning? There's someone or something or some big universe, some force outside of you that's going to decide when you're worthy. It's going to bless you if you're good enough. And then if you're not getting good, if you're not getting blessed, you must not be doing enough. You must not be good enough. You must not be trying hard enough. That's what we start assuming. Or maybe it's just not for us. Maybe it's not our karma or our fate. Maybe this is one of those lives where I'm supposed to suffer and pay back all of that other negative stuff. You know, all the lies we tell ourselves about why we aren't creating what we actually want, need, or desire. Yeah, it's okay. We've been conditioned. We've been conditioned. So we're going to do a little experiment. Money, money, right? Let's we're going to do a little experiment, but first I just want to make sure that we know how to muscle test, because we want to muscle test what's true. I like to press down on my middle finger, like on that first thing, and I'll say yes, yes, yes. If it holds, then if it's holding strong, that's a yes. If I say no, 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 it breaks. Okay, so try it for yourself. Yes, 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 yes. If it holds, it's strong. No, 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 it'll break. You can do the same thing with looping your fingers together. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, pulling is holding strong. Yes, yes, I mean, I'm really pulling. No, 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 no. And it just instantly broke. Okay, then we have this way, yes or no, or some people do it this way. Some people use pendulums, but mostly I just want you to have a quick way to gauge for yourself, yes or no. Are we all clear on muscle testing, what that is? Are we comfortable with that? Give me a little thumbs up, or let's see. Yes, and the thing, we got this. So are we comfortable with muscle testing? Show me your muscle, show me how you're going to muscle test. Okay. Yeah, this one's mine. All right, great. All right, we got it. We're on the same page. You're doing great. So first we're going to affirm. Let's affirm, okay? And we're going to hold this. Oh, well, I'll actually do mine this way. I am now worthy of receiving $10,000, and all the abundance of the universe is ready to bless me with. I am ready. Wait, I am worthy. I am now worthy of receiving $10,000, and all the abundance of the universe is ready to bless me with. That's worded a little weird, but I think we got it. Anybody test positively? Like, I am now worthy. Did we say yes? Or who got felt a little wiggly during that? Did it feel a little, yeah, I think so. It felt kind of like, yeah, I think that's true. But did you feel that down in your body? That, yeah, kind of question? All right. So now we're going to do a one command very quickly. This is the command we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to read it to you, but the command will be, I don't know how I have $10,000. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. All right. So just close your eyes. Feel your connection to the earth. Just feel that grounded state of being. Just present to your body. Beautiful. Bring your attention to your heart as you align to the blessing of this $10,000 in your bank account. Okay, we're going to align to it, and we're going to let that creation of $10,000 align to you. Very softly, just roll your eyes up. All I want you to do is just roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look up through the top of your head. And you can either silently or out loud follow along. So repeat after me. I don't know how. I have $10,000. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. And just let that idea go. Let your eyes relax as that expands out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. Now, another little thought may immediately come up. It says, well, I don't know how to believe I have $10,000. Last time I looked 60 seconds ago, I didn't have that in my account. I don't know how to believe that I have it. It's here now. We may or may not be able to see it. We don't know how it's here. So you can actually do a command to support it. Roll your eyes right back up. Keep your eyes closed. Roll your eyes up. I don't know how to believe that I have $10,000 or that I'm able to manifest $10,000. I only know I do now, and I am fulfilled. That's all we're doing. We're just going to let all that go. Let that expand out. Now, in your mind's eye, just as you're coming back into your body and you're receiving, be in active mode in your mind's eye. What would that look like? Is it a check? Is it cash money? Is it in your bank account? Is it an extra $10,000 rebate? Is it a $10,000 debt that it instantly got erased? In your mind's eye, what do you picture, visualize, or imagine coming in for you? And just receive it. Say, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then just take that little extra time and put that money that you saw in your mind's eye right into your hands. Okay. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Isn't that fun? That's fun. But now let's test it. Okay, yes, yes, yes. No, I need to take a sip of water. I have $10,000. I have $10,000. Did you missile test it? Who got yes? I now have $10,000. If you got a yes, show me a thumbs up. Did we get a yes? You might go, well, I don't know how I have $10,000, but my body feels it. My body knows it's true. Remember that next part in manifesting when they say act as if? Do you think from this feeling state, it would be easier to act as if you have it? Or that, oh yeah, it's on its way. Oh yeah, it's a done deal. I know I don't have to worry about that. Do you think it'd be easier to take action? I have $10,000. Let's test now. I am worthy of $10,000. Test that, yes or no. I am worthy of receiving $10,000. Yes or no? Yes? We getting yeses on that? I have a new belief about receiving money. I have a new belief about receiving money. Do we get a yes or a no? Isn't that fun? Yeah, I have a new belief. Richard, I'm going to check in on you. What happened with you on that? Let's see. Oh, I can't hear you. There we go.
Sorry. Yeah, it stayed strong when I did that.
Okay.
If
Did
I'm
it
doing it
shift from the
correctly, I just-
affirmation? Yeah, did it shift from the affirmation?
no, it stayed strong.
Okay. Well, I mean, but when you said the affirmation, did the affirmation feel strong or did it feel kind of weak, or how did you feel with the affirmation?
A little wavering with that last one, a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit.
But now with the $10,000, it feels stronger.
Well, it was just the last one we said, whatever statement that was about believing,
Yeah.
and it was a little wavering with that. But the other ones were strong for some reason, but it was just a
Okay.
very slight difference.
So yeah, we can do commands around. I don't know how to believe. I don't know how to believe I could manifest money.
I don't know how I don't know how I believe I can manifest money.
I only know I'm manifesting money now.
I only know I'm manifesting money now.
and I am fulfilled.
and I am fulfilled. Feel calmer. I
Yeah.
did that.
Now I know you know what your sources of money are, but you manifested what you already have in money.
I'm sorry,
You
please say
manif-
that again.
I know what your current sources of money are,
Yes,
but you manifested those. And just
yes,
like you manifested and created those other sources of money, no
yes,
matter what the, like what channel it's flowing from, you created that.
yes.
So you have the ability to create a new channel. And I feel like that's the command for you. I don't know how I create a new channel of money.
I don't know how I create a new channel for money to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Felt kind of a release when I said that.
Yep. And you could even say, I don't know how, just like I created other sources of income in the past, I can trust I'm creating new sources right now.
Yeah. I don't know how. I'm sorry. I'm not following
Yeah.
you.
Well, yeah. And we kind of talk through the commands. It's important, guys. Does this help to model this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how I know
I don't know how I
that.
know.
Just like I created channels in the past,
It's like how I created channels in the past.
I have the ability to create channels now,
I have ability to create channels now,
and I am fulfilled.
and I am fulfilled. I would add new channels now.
Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
can add that. So what this called is considerations when your subconscious mind is asking for information or
Hmm.
clarification, and you keep sticking with every time you meet a new thought or idea. Thank you, Richard. A resistance, you meet it with a new command. Okay. All right. So I just want to go over this quickly for time. I know that this is quite a while, but there is a daily practice of the one command. A lot of people like to use it when they remember it or just when they come into a problem, but you really want to get into the habit of it, because what we're doing with the one command is we're actually retraining our brain on how we solve problems and create new solutions. We're retraining our whole neurology. So initially, you will have to go through ground, align, roll your eyes up, go through the steps, because you're training yourself to think and feel that way. But there'll be a day that you just roll your eyes up and make the statement. It does not matter if you're making it quietly or out loud. I believe in the power of the spoken word. But I've gotten results both ways. You have to see what works best for you. Okay. In doing this daily practice, I have this set up so that you could set it's called your great aim. Set your main intention for what it is that you are actively working on right now. So I've got a client who's wanting to create a freedom-based lifestyle and create income freelancing. Okay. And she's running into some walls there because she's all stuck with how. So we got to get really clear on what success looks like for you. When Asara said, I want to save my house, I'm keeping my house. That's the desired outcome, to keep her house. Okay. But why? You got to tune into why, because it's got to be aligned to your purpose. It's not just because, well, everybody else is doing it, why can't I have it? It's got to be something that matters to you. So why do you want it? So then we do break out. Like, you've got to be able to be able to know where you're going. You got to know where you're starting. So how would you describe where you are right now? Right now, I'm struggling, not enough money, or you need 15,000 a month to live now, but you're only making 5, so I'm only making 5,000 a month, whatever that is. And then you look at, well, what's blocking you? You know what you want, what's stopping you? Okay. And then you go, where do you want to be? And you spend a little time, because we don't know really what's stopping us, But we also sometimes don't realize when we're repeating a pattern that there's a certain line, a certain point that we get stuck every time. And it might be the belief about I can't because of my age, or I can't go back to work, or I don't want to, I don't have the skills, or I have to take care of my family all the time, whatever these beliefs are. Then once you have that kind of figured out, you'll know what you want to command for. So in knowing what those limitations are, if you're going, I don't have enough time, you could go, I don't know how I have all the time I need. I only know I have everything I need now, right? And I am fulfilled. Then it really helps to, I'm waving my hands like you can see where I'm pointing. Pardon me, I don't like using the pointer on this particular system. On the step 2 in holding that vision, it's good to start the day with what it is that you want. What do you want your day to be about? What do you want to accomplish? So the way I like to think about it is like at the end of the day, what do you want to like be thankful for? Hey, I want to be thankful that I got that new client. I want to be thankful for the solution that arrived about my car. I want to be proud of myself for following through and continuing to press on, even though I wanted to give up. Doesn't matter what it was. What do you want to feel at the end of the day? So that's a good lens for you to look at. What do you want to accomplish today? Then you'd write your command around what you want to accomplish. So if you know that you need to contact 20 people today and you're feeling resistant, well, I don't know how I easily contact these 20 people. But why are you contacting the 20 people? Well, because I need to get $1,000 in sales. So instead of focusing on calling the 20 people, why don't you focus on $10,000 in sales you wanted to make today? So your command might be, I don't know how I generate $10,000 in sales today. I don't know how all my activities generate $10,000 in sales. So talk it out until it makes sense for you and you state your command. And then at the end of the day, you would spend time in gratitude and appreciation, what things happened today that really made you feel good. And then if you've got a problem that you want to work on at night, then you're going to assign it to your unconscious mind and you're going to do one more command before you go to bed. And then I've got an extra sheet just to help you with writing out commands. And then I always tell people there's 3 levels of knowing. And when you check in, when that answer comes in, you're checking with, hey, what really matters here when you're wanting to command? And your third eye, what do I see as possible? And like Richard's wanting to, he's got this audio movie. He wants it to get picked up. He sees the great potential. But then he's got to say, well, what's really possible today? What do I see as possible to accomplish today? What do I see as possible in my capabilities? You want to be able to activate your imagination. Your third eye is your all-seeing eye. And then checking on with your stomach, like, well, what am I to do now or next? So I always have people kind of check in at different points. Okay. So we're going to throw this open. And I want to just check in with everybody. I feel like I've just kind of, blasted you with a lot of information. One, I want to make sure we have time to talk, but I wanted to give you a chance to get some help in formatting a command because we're going to go up together as a group and do a really deep 1 command session. Okay. So is there anybody who needs help formatting a command? I am not seeing everybody. Let me see if I can make this gallery bigger. Okay. Yeah, everybody's just kind of listening. They've got their cameras off, but you can press the thumbs up on I think it's over in the little control bar. Yours may be at the top or at the side, where there's a place where you can hit thumbs up. But if you know what your command is, let's do a deep 1 command session if there's no questions. Who's ready to go for it? Oh, Richard, you've got a question? Okay, wait a minute. Let's unmute you. Wait a minute. You're still muted. I mean, you're still on mute. Yeah.
Okay, a very quick question, Catherine, because we want to, get on with what we're doing. When you first gave me this one command before, it was something about, I don't know if you remember it because you've been doing a lot of different things, but I don't know how I am prepared for success. Is that what you said, or something around that?
Yeah. I don't know how I'm prepared for success.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that includes everything you need to do. But then as you're taking action, you hit a little wall or a new decision point. That's when you do your next command. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Brilliant. Checking in, Kathleen or Sandra, Susan, April. Anybody have any question or need help with their one command statement? We're all good? Okay, wonderful. Well, let's go for it. Has this been helpful tonight? Does this make more sense with the one command? Does this answer some of your questions that y'all have had about it? Okay. There we go. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make this smaller. Pardon me, we're having a little operator error over here. And I can't get this particular screen off. Let me see if I can escape. Nope, that threw me completely out. I apologize, guys. I cannot get this one little control to shift. There we go. It finally did. Thank you. Thank you for being patient. Okay. You've got your command. Now we're just going to take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath. And I want to just invite you to feel your connection to the earth. You're like a tree and you have long roots reaching down, down, down into the earth. And just be aware of the earth's connection to you. And picture, visualize, or imagine that earth energy is coming up, up, up into your body. That energy is coming up into your ankles, into your knees, into your hips. Up your spine, your shoulders, your neck, your shoulders, your elbows, your wrist, down to your very tips of your fingers. Relaxing your jaw. And just kind of look slightly down toward your heart. Now, thinking about your chief aim, whatever it is that you're wanting to create, attract, or manifest, and that's aligning to your purpose. I'm going to invite you to connect into your heart and the love in your heart. And just allow that love in your heart to become illuminated. And let it expand all around you 360 degrees. And think about whatever it is that you are wanting to create, attract, or manifest, like what that would look like fulfilled. What would be the best representation of that? It's just a particular moment. And now let your creation align back to you. And in this space, let there only be love between you. Now I invite you to become aware of your connection to Source, that beautiful pole of light that's coming right down through the top of your head, going right down through your body, all the way down through the earth. And with your eyes closed, very softly, roll your eyes up and send your consciousness up that pole of light. And the higher you go, the faster you go, And soon you find yourself out in the beautiful universe. All the galaxies, all the systems, you see it all, and you're part of it all. And soon you're in the beautiful, velvety, black void of space. But in the distance is a teeny pinprick of light. Head towards that light. And instantly you find that you are breaking through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. With your eyes up, we're going to state your one command. So I'm going to say it for you, and you're going to fill in the blank. So repeat after me. I don't know how I. State your command. I only know. It is so now, or I do now, whichever feels correct. And I am fulfilled. And we're just going to let that go. Let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. We're just sending that message out into the universe. And now bring your attention back to your body and start coming into this state of gratitude and appreciation, and start actively receiving. And the way I like to do is just start saying yes, yes, yes. And you could even start pulling with your hands, moving towards you. Yes, thank you, bringing it in. And in your mind's eye, I want you to witness or observe that which you've commanded coming to you. And as this is coming in, you're noticing there's this greater state of being, and the old limitations and tensions and conditioning are starting to release, relax, unwind, 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 all the way down to the master DNA strand that holds all your potential. As it's unwinding, it's opening itself, it's releasing those generations of family programming and conditioning and everything that happened in the environment and the religion and everything that was impressed, and anything that happened to your family is now healed, restored, resolved. Just witness all of that releasing, unwinding, unwinding, unwinding. And now we're just going to take a moment and allow these new ideas, this greater state of being, this whole new potential, start to rewind, rewind, rewind. And now that energy, that knowing is starting to integrate with your inner system, your thinking system, your feeling system, your habit system, your action system, your energy system, your consciousness system. Whole new blueprints and templates are being instantly installed and activated within you. But keep your eyes closed for just a second. Bring your attention back just internally to your heart. And as you think about what you wanted to attract, create, or manifest, what do you know now as you think about your commandment? And what's important is you're going to get a lot of ideas. Write them down. You may get a new awareness. And so keep notes, because this is very much like trying to remember a dream. You're going to be going through so many changes. You really want to learn from your growth. And sometimes when you feel a little down, it's going to help you to remember that you absolutely have the power and you have evidence of your ability to create magnificent changes and outcomes in your life. And then what's going to happen, like it happened to Sarah, like it happened to me, like it's happened to thousands of people, there's going to be this seventh step of inspired action. You're going to get an idea to do something. It's going to feel right. You're going to go, yeah, I want to do that. And the key is to do it instantly. Do it as quickly as possible. So be ready for that idea or inspiration or opportunity, and you just go for it. Okay? Woo! We got through it. We got through it. I just want to say thank you so much, and for joining me tonight. Um, I'm going to be sending the recording to you. It's going to be on the same link, but I will send a follow-up email. And I'm also going to let you know, if you wanted to know more about this from the author herself, the one who created the host system, Asara does have a program, and I'm going to make sure I include a link about that. So if you want to investigate this further, you can. That's the big pitch. If this looks interesting to you and you want to learn more about it, I'm going to show you how to get in direct connection with Asara. She's an incredible teacher. She's been my friend and teacher for, God, over 30 years now. I guess we were just young children when we met, but what an incredible influence in my life. And I'm so blessed to not only know her, but to have gotten to learn this method from her. I do work with people one-on-one. If you would like to experience a one command session with me, it starts with a phone call. And all you got to do is book a one-on-one with me. And we just have a discussion about your situation. And then you're going to get a little taster, right? But then if it looks like you're a good fit, we'll have a discussion about how I might be able to help you. Okay. So all you got to do to book that free call is you write it exactly the way you see it. It's that bit.ly/big vision coach. Okay. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you. And so reach out if you would like to experience this on a more personal level for your specific situation. I've worked with, at this point, I actually did a little audit the other day, and I'm at 15,000 people I've done the work with on this. So I'm pretty excited about this. I love this work. And I'm just excited to find out how I might be able to support you in your growth. That's enough of me. Now it's time for you. So until next time, my sweet friend, thank you for joining me tonight. This is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach and Eyewitness Your Mastery. Bye-bye, everybody. Mwah.